Hi, I'm Beth with American Patchwork and Quilting. Today I'm sharing tips for sewing Block 1 in our Bright New Day Block of the Month program. This is a free program that's just getting started, so if you haven't grabbed the pattern yet, check the video description for the link to download those instructions. So I already sewed my triangle squares and my hourglass units, and I've laid those out with the squares according to the diagram, and now I'm ready to sew my block together. So here's the thing that you really need to be careful of on this block. You have to sew your pieces together using a scant 1/4 inch seam, or your block is going to be too small. So what is a scant 1/4 inch seam? Well, it's just a thread's width or so smaller than a typical 1/4 inch. When you sew with a 1/4 inch seam and you fold and press your fabric, you're losing a little bit of the size in that thread and the fold. So if you sew just a little bit smaller than a 1/4 inch, then your pieces are going to end up the right size. Especially with blocks like this, where you have a lot of points and you have a lot of pieces, a small difference in that size can really compound as you sew across your block. On this Husqvarna Viking Epic 95Q machine, you can adjust your needle over just a little bit at a time so you can really get a perfect scant 1/4 inch seam. One note, be sure your presser foot has a large enough opening to accommodate moving your needle. Some 1/4 inch presser feet just have a center hole, so you could run into issues with the needle hitting the foot. This Husqvarna Viking 1/4 inch foot does have an oval hole, so that allows you to make small adjustments to the needle position and still have enough clearance for the needle. Not all sewing machines will allow you to adjust the needle so precisely, so you might have to make a seam guide using some painter's tape. You can build up a couple layers and put that on the bed of your machine. To test your seam, you'll want to cut and sew some actual pieces. So I've got 3 1.5 inch strips here, and I'm going to sew them together. So I sewed my strips together and I pressed them, and now I'm going to measure, and the center strip should equal 1 inch. But you can see we are a little bit short, so that might be about a 1/16 of an inch, which doesn't seem like much, but again, it can compound as you go along your block. So here is another one. And when you measure, that does equal 1 inch. So you know that is your perfect scant 1/4 inch seam. If you won't finish your block in one sewing session, you'll need some way to remember your settings. A great feature of this Epic 95Q is that you can save custom stitches. So once you find those settings for your scant 1/4 inch seam, you can save that, and then it's ready to go for you to use next time. If your machine doesn't have that capability, a simple Post-it with the information works really well too, and you can just stick it right on your machine so you won't forget next time. Here are the 2 different colorways in our block. This is the one I was sewing, and it's Oh Happy Day by Sandy Gervais for Riley Blake Designs. This one had a really fun print that had several different motifs, so I fussy cut the star motif to put in the center. It kind of echoes the shape around it and I think adds a really fun touch. And then this one is Springbrook by Corey Yoder for Moda Fabrics. And this one's a little softer look because I used a little darker background print, it's a print, and it just is overall a little bit softer. It's really fun to see how different the blocks look just by changing up the fabrics. So when you're planning your block, we do have a coloring diagram, and that's included in the download, so that can really help you when you're planning out your layout. I can't wait to see your version of Block 1. Share in our Facebook group or on social media using the hashtag APQBOM2021, and find all of our bonus content in the video description. Happy sewing!